We know it's a huge concern,
Yep.
especially with our drought and what we've been dealing with on that.
Absolutely.
So the Hard Labor Creek Reservoir, talk to us about that a little bit. Any
Now-
new developments?
Well, not to my knowledge. I know that that's it will be a regional reservoir. The county, Walton County, has worked with Oconee County, and it's like there are 3 counties involved in the reservoir to make it a regional reservoir, and we kind of share the cost among the 3 counties. Water is a significant problem. We've seen over the last couple of years during the drought, and not being allowed to water and wash your car and do all the things that we enjoy. It's something that, this is another example of, if we, just because we've had more rain this year than we did last year, doesn't mean this problem's going to go away. Now, the fact of the matter is, we don't necessarily have a rainfall problem, we have a collection problem. And we get plenty of rain, we just don't have pools big enough to hold it in, and to store it for us until we need it. So.
What about alternatives? Until we actually get something like the reservoir or something, there's alternatives out there.
Well, I mean, conservation, but conservation can only get you so far. With conservation, I know a lot of cities do revenue projections based on, or budget projections based on the revenue they expect to collect from their water customers and the people that are using their services. Now, when the state mandates, or there's a local mandate to cut back on water usage, that affects their revenue flow. So they either have to raise the prices or make up for that revenue shortfall somewhere else. So, you know, how do we address it? Yeah, there has to be a balance for an amenable solution to that. So we definitely need to have more water storage, not only in Walton County but around the state. We introduced legislation this past year, a comprehensive statewide water management plan to help orchestrate and facilitate building of regional reservoirs around the state. Now, Walton, we're kind of ahead of the curve on that one. We've got the project in place that's been funded by the bond money. My only concern with that is, with the slowing economy, we're basing revenue projections for our reservoir on customers that may not be there because of the fact of the slowing economy. So I have some concern with that, because if the revenue's not there, then it's going to fall on me and you to make up the difference. So I'm hopeful that you know, we get worked out and get the economy back going again, so we're not faced with that that possibility.
So conservation, everybody try to conserve. That'd be a great thing.
Well, I introduced legislation this year for water conserving products, and the bill that I introduced didn't get passed in the form that necessarily that I introduced it in, and most legislation doesn't come out the way you put it in anyway. But we did get something worked into the sales tax holiday bill that allows you to buy water conserving products, and you get a tax break on that. Now, the bill that I introduced the idea was actually brought to me by my father-in-law to I don't know if you've heard of the tankless water heaters, and there's another term for it, but you have instant hot water. You turn it, rather than stand in the shower for 10 minutes and let the water run, you turn it on, you have instant hot water. And the bill would have given you a tax credit for buying this type of product of either $500 or $1,000 to encourage people to put the investment in doing that. And that was estimated to save a household between 18 and 22,000 gallons of water per year. So we didn't get the bill passed in that form that I introduced. However, we did get something worked into the sales tax holiday, and something's better than nothing. So
That's right.
But we'll continue to work towards good ideas that help conserve and not be a burden on the taxpayer. Give us a little break on the improvements that we make.
Okay. We know that the U.S. Senate just approved $25 billion towards the automakers. One of my questions would be, with those incentives, and I know they're trying to make the battery-operated cars and everything, but what about our farmers? Is there any incentive for them or the makers and suppliers of the agricultural equipment?
My understanding of this particular piece of legislation, I don't believe that farm equipment was included in the legislation. Now, on the state level, we are very conscious and try to be as friendly as possible to the farmers in the state. You know, we've given energy tax breaks on the farm equipment that they use to water the crops, and the equipment that they use, tax breaks on that. So we try to take care of the people in Georgia. This is not going to help the people in the rest of the country, but we do everything we can to make sure these
Because
people
we
look
are
at.
a great
Oh.
agricultural
Oh,
state.
yeah,
I mean, in Walton
absolutely.
County, our community,
Absolutely.
you know, further on back in time, was a huge farming community.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, all of Georgia, you know, was a largely agrarian-based society. Now, what's happened now is we've turned to a more of a service-based society. So that's why, to me, I think, and this goes back to the sales tax question, currently we don't tax services. We only tax goods. And when we were only selling wheat and corn and you know,
Peanuts.
yeah,
cotton.
things like that, that was fine because it was meant to affect the landowners who grew the crops and, you know, hired the employees and paid the people to do it. Now that's the number of people that are doing that has been reduced dramatically.
Smaller.
Yeah, but there's a lot of services, and in a service-based society, we have to capture some of that revenue. That would affect my business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would be required to collect sales tax on the services that we offer. But it's not fair to only tax goods instead of taxing services. I mean, we're just shifting the burden to, yeah, I mean, we can have a more broad-based, a broader tax base if we tax all goods and services.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I wouldn't propose taxing all goods and services without a cut somewhere else, whether it's in the form of property tax reform, elimination of that, or income tax. There has to be, I don't want to, I will not just create a new tax. But if we can get rid of either the property tax or the income tax and then change to a sales and tax all sales and services, I would support that instead. So because I think, again, that's another way where we can capture some of the revenue that's the people aren't paying taxes. You know, the people that are here illegally, they're not paying for the services, whether it's having your taxes done, of course they're probably not having that done anyway, but, or having your car washed, going to the dentist, whatever it may be. So we have to find a balance there somewhere, and I think if we have a broader base tax that eases the burden on the people who are doing things the right way and are being punished for doing that.